So let me ask you something, right? What if humanity's suffering is not just random, but what if we're purposely the ones actually responsible of creating our very own suffering in the first place? Now listen, hear me out. I know that sounds crazy. Like, why the hell would anyone want to be responsible of creating their very own suffering in the first place? Doesn't make sense. And absolutely, I agree, it doesn't make sense. But guess what? It's what we've been subconsciously doing for literally decades. Decades. We have been doing this stuff since arguably, maybe even centuries, I'd argue. And some people might say, it's corrupt politicians, it's corrupt leaders, and it's essentially just people that are responsible of running today's society, which is the reason why, the world is completely messed up. And sure, and the reason why humanity is suffering as a whole, right? And of course, that's true. But it's deeper than that. It's the fact that we are subconsciously praying for our very own downfall. And let me explain what I mean, right? So this is actually a topic that is constantly talked about in a lot of animes, right? Specifically 4, right? And I'm gonna explain. And because a lot of you guys only know how to watch anime for entertainment, you don't actually watch it to learn something. So these concepts literally just go flying past your head. You guys watch anime for entertainment, and I used to be the exact same person, right? And once you realize, you mature and grow, and you start to realize that anime has tons of things inside of it that is actually teaching you about the way that life actually works in today's society, and more importantly in today's world. This idea actually ties into the fact that your most valuable asset that you own as a human being is not your day-to-day assets, it's not your day-to-day properties either, it's not your groceries or your bills or anything that you physically own, but it is actually your attention, right? Because what is attention at its essence, at its core? Attention is literally a centralization of energy concentrated into a single point. Think about it, right? For those that have watched Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, everyone knows who Goku or Vegeta is. But I'm specifically talking about Goku, right? When Goku does a Kamehameha wave, what happens, right? He is concentrating all of his ki into a centralization of energy into a single point that releases a huge lump of energy. Same exact concept applies here. But it's the fact that we don't actually understand and realize this, right? There's literally been times in my life, right, especially when it comes to COVID school, I remember there's this one test that I never studied for. I didn't do any due diligence on. I didn't study for the test. But bro, guess what? I literally still ended up passing the test. And it's not because I did any due diligence. It's not even necessarily because I knew the topic that well. It's because I decided to pour all of my energy and attention into this. And that's exactly why I passed the test, right? And the same exact concept even applies with cooking, right? Because I'm also into cooking as well. I like to make my own food, whatever. People will always tell you, that when you make food for somebody and when that person actually likes that food, when they could tell it's good, they taste it, they love the meal, they'll always say, oh yeah, they made it with love. They made it with the bottom of their heart. That is incorrect. I'd argue that's not the case. They didn't make it with love. They made it with their attention, right? They poured their attention, not their love, right? Because if you poured I've never made any meal with love, right? Like that, what is that, right? I poured my best meals in general have not because I poured love into them. It's because I poured my energy and my attention and I focused all of that stuff into the meal, and that's why these meals end up being really good meals. So let's connect this idea with what anime has been trying to tell us this whole time, which is the fact that we as humans are actually responsible of creating our very own suffering, right? So let's say Jujutsu Kaisen, for example, right? So for those that have watched JJK, right? What are like the enemies that they're trying to fight off and get rid of in the world? Cursed spirits, right? Now, what are cursed spirits at their essence, at their core, right? Cursed spirits are literally the collective vendetta, or like the collective thoughts of many different people collectively thinking of the same thing at once, right? So they are literally the physical manifestations of the collective thoughts of many different people that have been thinking the same exact thing. So for example, if you're a bit confused, right? Jogo, he's what? He is the physical manifestation of humans' fears in fire, volcanoes, and just overall like heat and flames, whatever, right? Mahito, what is he the physical manifestation of? He's the physical manifestation of the fear that humans have in each other, the hatred that humans have towards each other, just the overall negative emotions that human beings have towards each other, right? You can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that these concepts apply to real life as well. I truly do believe that some of us are actually the physical manifestations of the collective thought of a certain group of people. Some of us, like, have you ever met a person, right? At least for me, have you like ever met a person and they are like the epitome of like a certain emotion? Like, I've met people in my life that were like literally like an angel. Like, have you ever met somebody in your life that has just been like a good incarnate, right? I'm talking about like these people are angels. They're just genuinely good people. Like, you would think that they're literally a heaven from up above, right? That's what you would think. And then you've also met people that are the exact opposite. People that are just scumbags, people that just do bad for no absolute reason, and people that just feel the need to do wrong in the world, right? Like, literally like the epitome and the straight definition of what it means to be a bad person, or the straight definition of what it means to be a good person. I'm sure we've all met those people, right? And I do truly believe it's because of the fact that some of us are actually the physical manifestations of the collective thoughts of many different people subconsciously. Another great example is One Piece, right? Now, in One Piece, what is like the power system that they use? Devil fruits, or hockey, but like devil fruits, right? Now, what are devil fruits? Same exact thing. Devil fruits are the thoughts, hopes, emotions, and wills of many different people collectively combined that wanted the same thing. For example, right? I'm sure we all know who Luffy is. Now, what does Luffy's fruit represent? Freedom, liberation, hope, right? And it depends on the devil fruit. Each devil fruit is the collective vendetta or the collective thoughts of many different people and hopes combined into a single physical fruit, and somebody decided to eat it. Another great example is Fire Force. And bro, when I tell you, Fire Force actually explains this concept the best, right? And in the show, they have these beings called doppelgangers, right? And what are doppelgangers, right? They're literally like copies of, like, literally copy, like a literal copy of somebody else physically that exists in the world, right? But the only thing is, like, just like in JJK, they are like the physical manifestations of how people collectively perceive of you to be, right? So they're the physical manifestations of how people perceive of you to be, how people think of you, and the emotions people kind of have towards you. They're the physical manifestations of how you are perceived by other people, right? And so it's a really interesting concept because people like see this kind of stuff and they're like, okay, this only has to do with anime. No, it doesn't. I do truly believe that we are the physical manifestations of the collective vendetta or the collective thoughts of other people within our world. Or more importantly, I'd argue it's actually people within our bloodline, whether if it be the thought of wanting to become successful, whether if it be, just essentially we are like the collective vendetta of people's thoughts, hopes, dreams, and overall it shaped who we are as people. And this is why you're always hearing people say that you are your ancestors, you are the people that died before you, you're all of it. And it honestly kind of does make sense if you decide to look at it from this perspective. Even in Fire Force, they talk about this idea of how, God didn't create humans, but humans created God. And it honestly makes sense once you actually start to realize and understand of how attention is actually a centralization of energy concentrated into a single point, right? So imagine like we all, right, collectively just sat down. We all just sat down inside of a circle like this. We all just sat down and we all collectively just believed in something. Let's say there was 10 of us around here. 10 of us. Anyone that's watching this video, imagine you're here with me physically, right? Let's say that there's like 10 of us sitting around here. Let's say we were like doing a group meditation, but like we were all focused on genuinely one thing, bringing one thing to light. I'd argue it would physically manifest, right? Because people don't understand and realize how we are actually so much more powerful than what we have been told, because our attention is literally the reason as to why so many of our lives in today's society and in today's world are a complete mess. I'd argue, bro, if there was like a group meditation to happen around me right now, at least maybe like 10 or 15 of us, we were to all like meditate and we were to all collectively have one thing. We were to all collectively believe in one thing within our minds, within our actually hearts. If we were to all just close our eyes, if we were to all just think about and pray about the same thing or the same exact result, all of us can collectively come together and agree on that one result that we want for all of us and each other, I guarantee you it would come to physically manifest. Because your attention is literally a centralization of energy. And because our attention is being thrown towards directions and things that don't necessarily serve us in our overall lives, this is why so many of our lives are complete shit. Once you realize this, bro, why do you think that they're constantly like throwing all of these things towards your face? The news, the politics, the sports, you know, the fast food, the healthcare, all these things, the wars, you know, throwing all of these things literally, like, bro, imagine I had a bat, or like imagine I had a football. I just shoved it right up in your face, because that's literally what they're doing to you right now, throwing all of these things right at you so that they can throw your attention and your energy into disarray, so that you can't actually focus on what's actually important, which is actually building the kind of life that you've always envisioned for yourself, becoming the person that you've always envisioned yourself to become in the near future, right? And once we understand and realize that your attention is literally the centralization of energy concentrated into a single point, they have your attention into sports, they have your attention into what's going on in Iran, they have your attention in the food that you're constantly eating, they have your attention into things that don't necessarily serve you. And then we wonder why all of our lives are just completely a huge sloppy mess. Like, bro, just think about it, bro. So to add on top of that idea, let me cook, right? Some things only exist because we give it our attention in the first place, right? So, bro, we have to realize and understand that because people love to act as if they don't care about certain things, whether it be politics or whatever, certain celebrities, whatever, but then they still give it their attention. Bro, let's be honest. You still give a fuck. Let's just be honest. And it's cool to admit it. It's cool to admit it, because if you truly didn't care, then why are you still paying it any mind? Why are you still giving it your attention? And so we have to realize and understand that if we want to have something to just completely not exist, then we have to stop giving it our attention. We don't need to protest. We don't need to riot all up in America. We don't necessarily need to do these things in order to tell people that are responsible of running society that we're tired of their BS. We need to stop giving their systematic things attention. That's it, because we have to realize and understand that some things are only existing in today's society because we decide to give it our attention. Not because of the fact that we are asleep, not because of the fact, well, yes, because we're asleep, not because of the fact that some people are just, you know, society is just cooked, but because of the fact that we are still constantly feeding these things our attention. And what is attention in the first place? Attention is a centralization of energy concentrated into a single point. This is why so many things in today's society still have not fallen down yet. Why? It's because of the fact that we still give these things our attention, bro. Wake up, people. And this is literally the reason why we as humans have been creating our very own suffering in today's life and in today's world. We have been the ones responsible of creating our very own suffering, not because of corrupt world leaders, not because of these dumb celebrities, not because of all these wars that are going on around the world, but because of us. We are feeding our attention into these things that don't necessarily serve us, and we wonder why we wonder why 74% of Americans have completely given up on their dreams. It's because of the fact that you guys are constantly feeding and pouring your attention into things that don't serve you at all, that don't serve the kind of person that you're trying to become, that don't serve the kind of in future that you envision yourself having for yourself. And because of that, you wonder why you don't have what it is that you want to be able to have in your life, right? So yeah, I mean, that was pretty much the video, but I'm gonna have to go ahead in the video off that because my phone is about to die, so I have to head back. Also, one more thing, if you are somebody that hates your life and you struggle with actually living a life that is more closely aligned with you and the kind of person that you envision yourself becoming in the future, go ahead and fill out this application with me down below. I'm gonna see if you're a possible good fit. I'm gonna go ahead and reach back out to you. So fill that out and we can work one-on-one together so that we can help you to live a life that's more closely aligned with you and to get you back up on your feet again so that you can live your life to the best possible extent, so that you can start to live your life the way that you've always envisioned yourself to live your life. You've always been doing this, you've always been doing that, but it's never actually clicked. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, I have a link that you can go ahead and fill out, and if I think that you're a possible good fit, then I'll reach out to you within 10 or 20 minutes. But go ahead and fill that out, and yeah, y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead in the video off that. Thank y'all for watching, and that's King Wellness, and I'm out.